Hi, everybody, and welcome to Big Joe's Journal. My name is Joe Tilden, and I'm the host of this program. Well, this is our first show of May 2021, and you know the old saying, April showers bring May flowers, but there was a bit of lack of rain in April. We're going through a bit of a drought, but the flowers are starting to come out. It's going to take probably a little bit longer and a few more rainy days to help the soil produce, and it's just a matter of time we'll be seeing some flowers. I know the lawns are starting to grow. Within the past week, I know my lawn has started coming back to life again. Probably another week or two, I'll be necessary to mow it. But that's a good sign, you know. It means summer's here. And got the warm weather, and the cold weather supposedly is behind us for a few more months. So we got a great summer to enjoy. One of the things that we start May off, May 1. May 1 is a rather important date. In a lot of places of the world, it is Labor Day. I know here in the United States we celebrate Labor Day on the first Monday in September. But through much of the rest of the world, May 1 is Labor Day. And as you know, communist Russia, the Soviet Union, and now Russia, and Red China. This is the day that they roll out their military might. They have their huge military parades and show off their weapons that they have, their intercontinental ballistic missiles and everything else. And it's a big military parade, Day of Pride. Over here in the Western world, May Day is a disaster signal. Say if a plane is going down or is in trouble or some other, say a ship or something like that is in trouble, May Day means emergency disaster impending. And of course, as we in the Western world, we see pictures of these Russian rockets and everything else going by, we know that they are built to hit us. And it's not a comforting thought. Okay, here in the United States, we have referred to May 1 as Loyalty Day. And of course, for many years here in Rutland, the first Sunday in May, we had what we call a Loyalty Day Parade. And it was more or less the unofficial opening of the summer season. We have a huge parade, of course, and then the season closed out with a Halloween parade at the end of October. Well, for the past couple of years, first of all, the COVID-19 pandemic eliminated the Loyalty Day Parade, and this year, for the same reason. It used to be the Loyalty Day Parade at the high school level was the first public appearance of your local high school marching band. You know, many times if a school had a football team, well, your last time your marching band was out was for your final football game, or in some cases on Veterans Day. And after that, anything they put on was inside and all that. So, Loyalty Day Parade was when the high school bands would come out, their first public appearance for a new season, and also was a chance for the band directors to see what they had to do to get the band, you know, or what changes they had to make with the State Music Festival, which always followed within a week or two after Loyalty Day. And that is when the various high school bands and orchestras got together and had a huge parade. In the old days, it was always in Burlington. And the big parade was always on Saturday. The music festival would begin on Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday was the big parade. But the last few years, for whatever reason, it's been downplayed a bit. It's moved around to different communities, and it's been downplayed a bit. I remember a few years ago on Friday night, the All-State Band would perform. And on Saturday night at Memorial Auditorium in Burlington, which is closed now, it was the All-State Orchestra and the All-State Chorus. And during these days, there would be competition for various prizes. Instrumentalists, for example, pianists, and other instruments would vie for scholarships. There were all kinds of scholarships came out of the State Music Festival. But in recent years, that has been downplayed a bit and doesn't have the same momentum, or didn't have the same momentum that it had in earlier years. And of course, last year that was canceled because of the pandemic, and I believe this year is probably the same thing. Well, the purpose of Loyalty Day was to respond to the threats from Russia and from China and from other would-be enemies that we were one nation and we were ready to defend ourselves. And it was, it was a good time. Fortunately, many Loyalty Day parade here, we were fortunate enough to have a sunny day. I couldn't help thinking yesterday on the 2nd of May, if we'd had a Loyalty Day parade day, it was a nice sunny, mild day. A lot of people would have come out. And of course, Loyalty Day always used to draw an awful lot of viewers. People anxious to get out and start enjoying the good fresh air we have here in Vermont and get the summer season underway. But it has fell victim, another one of the numerous victims to the pandemic that we have now. So we'll see what another year brings. And whether it will be renewed, whether there's enough interest to renew it and get it started up again. And we'll see where we are a year from now, what our situation is going to be. Another big day, of course, second Sunday in May. Hey, what else? Mother's Day. And it's an opportunity where we honor our mothers and our grandmothers and great-grandmothers and right down the line, our godmothers, our stepmothers, and so forth. It's a day when women get the recognition that they need for their role in the family life. And probably should be one of our more important holidays in the year. It's a day that calls for family to come together and to recognize the contribution that women make in their role as mothers and grandmothers, so forth. And of course, that will be coming this following Sunday. And hopefully, we're going to have another sunny weekend, another beautiful day. People will be able to get out and celebrate and honor their moms. Whether or not people will be able to take mom out to dinner, I guess that depends on where you're going and how many people can get in the restaurant at one time and how quickly you make your reservations. That's what you're going to do. I imagine there'll probably be a lot of family cookouts. You know, get the old grill out and fire up charcoal or whatever type of a grill you have, and just have a wonderful, wonderful family gathering. One of the problems in getting our society straightened out is the fact that the basis of society is the family. And to get family, excuse me, to get families to come together and to work with one another and to enjoy one another's company. You know, you don't realize how important your family is to the full extent until they're not here anymore. And either old age or sickness or whatever, they pass away. And suddenly they're not here. And that's when the importance of family really hits and hits home. And speaking of personal experience, you know, outside of a few nephews and nieces, my family and most of the people I grew up with, of course, have all passed away. And sometimes, you know, you look back and you think about the good times you had and maybe the times that weren't so good, yet you survived them. And, you know, I look back this Mother's Day, that's what I'll be doing. Looking back on times we had, times we were kids, and then we're young people and aged and so forth. So, Loyalty Day, Mother's Day, two great holidays. And of course, we'll wind up the month of May with Memorial Day. We'll remember all of our service people who gave their lives for our country, and also all of our family members who are no longer with us. Well, another thing we want to talk about, and it's raising a bit of controversy, is President Biden's decision to pull our troops out of Afghanistan. And personally, I think it's a wise decision. We spent 20 years fighting in Afghanistan against the Taliban. And it has cost us a number of American lives. We gave that country, we propped up their potential for democracy. We've trained their military, and we've given that country approximately 20 years protection. But you know, we can't stand there forever. We weren't making any progress. The Taliban, still a powerful force, there's no question about that. But if the Afghan people don't want to go back under Taliban rule, then they've got to stand up and defend their country. They got to do it themselves. They can't depend on us to be there forever, to defend them, to do what they should be doing for themselves already. At the same time, we've spent too many young lives. Too many kids, for example, a lot of the kids that are serving in Afghanistan now, they weren't even born when this war started. And here they are going over and putting their lives on the line. They grew up with us. And somewhere along the line, it had to come to an end. We couldn't stay there forever. That was pretty obvious. Afghanistan has had a history of never being conquered. A number of countries have tried it. But it seems to be one of those impossible situations. I think it's rather interesting to note that the Taliban, the way they got their military expertise was through our CIA. When Russia was trying to occupy Afghanistan, the Taliban were fighting against them. And it was our CIA that assisted them, provided them with weapons, surface-to-air missiles, and all the rest of it, and trained them in how to use it, how to use these explosive devices in the ground. And they learned their lesson, they learned it well. And they used it against, when Russia left, and we went over and took over after the destruction of the World Trade Center, and we went over to fight the Taliban because they were sheltering Osama bin Laden. We should have focused on that and gotten Osama bin Laden and then got out of there. But we didn't. And we were stuck propping up a government that wasn't the most honest in the world. It's believed to be one of the more crooked governments. It's not a real democracy, even though we tried to set it up. It's very, very difficult to be a nation builder. You can build yourself, but to try to build somebody else is difficult. We found that in Afghanistan, we found it in Iraq. Well, I know people are saying, well, what's going to happen to the women when the Taliban take over, the way they abuse women, subjugate women? What about the coming back of ISIS? Well, you got all those problems. But the point is, we've done more than our share. That doesn't make much point. For, say, a young man from Vermont to go over to Afghanistan and to lose his life fighting in a cause that's not going to have a solution. We've been there 20 years. We got Osama bin Laden. The goal was accomplished a long time ago. And that's when we should have left. But we stayed there. We tried to train their military to defend their own country. And how has the training gone? Well, so-so. But that's their problem. If you want to preserve your country and you want to save your country, then you've got to fight for your country. You can't expect somebody else to come and do it for you. You got to do it yourself. And I think this is the message that goes out to the Afghan government and the Afghan people, that it's your country. And if you want to preserve it and promote democracy, then you've got to fight for it. And you've got to fight against the Taliban. Now, the Taliban has made all kinds of promises, but will they keep them? Probably not. It's very doubtful that they will. But I think it was the right decision. Some president had to have the backbone to do it. And that was President Biden. Now, why did he do it? Well, he did it because it was the right thing to do. And will this be brought up in the 2024 election? It probably will, but he won't be running. Kamala Harris will be running. And she can always say that was Biden's decision, it was the right decision, I defend it. And carry on from there. Another big aspect, of course, is Joe Biden's plan to resurrect the country, to bring it back, to get us moving again. On controlling this pandemic, well, it's like a pandemic is like a huge, huge snake. You cut off part of it, yet the rest of it's still alive and still wiggling. And some places, we appear to have the pandemic under control, boom, it breaks out someplace else. Worldwide, well, the United States, Europe, we seem somehow or another to be getting under control. I know there's still areas in the United States where it has flourished up again, such as in Michigan and I believe the state of Oregon, and a couple of other states where it has boomed again. But where it's hit real hard is India. And we're seeing news clips of India where hospitals are so crowded But they can't take any more patients. People come in there desperately sick, and all they can do is wait for an empty bed, wait for somebody to die so they can take over their bed. So you look at it and you wonder, say, is anything ever going to go back to normal? Well, it depends on your definition of normal. I think the Biden administration has done a good job in getting their doses around the country, getting people to take them. There's still large segments of this country that don't want to be inoculated for one reason or another. I think the scare from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has frightened off an awful lot of people. And you really can't blame them for that. They say, well, the good outweighs the bad, but the bad is going to stand out. I think it's 18 women developed blood clots, or 18 died from the blood clots after receiving a Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And people come along and they say, well, maybe the good outweighs the bad. But the fact that I might be one of the bad aspects and get that and develop these blood clots and die from it, that's not really a strong selling point for me to get it. And I think that's one of the reasons why the number of people getting vaccinated in the United States has gone down. But in the meantime, our brothers and sisters in India are being hit hard. And you've got to take your hat off to the medical profession that struggle right out straight to try to get this thing under control. Well, this is probably, as far as we know, the worst epidemic to hit the world in modern times. The Spanish flu in 1918, 1919 was bad. We got it under control. And this pandemic, maybe eventually it will be under control. It's going to be a while. There's certain safeguards you have to use. For example, using this face mask is a protection against the coronavirus. Even though I've had both shots, and the way it went in Rutland went very, very well. The hospital here was well organized to handle it. Not only the initial shot, but even did better down at the Holiday Inn on the second shot. Very well organized, move you right through and get it done. I know some people have had adverse effects from the shots. The only thing I can think of, I know when I had my shot, the first one didn't bother me at all, and the second one, my shoulder was a little sore for a day or so. But it's worth it, and it may be possible that every year we're going to need a booster shot, same as your flu shot. So when you go to the doctors or whatever, in September, October, you get, I don't know whether they can give them together or not, probably not. Probably have to be separate. Get a flu shot one time and come back in another week or two and get the COVID shot. Because they're both pretty potent, and if you gave two of them together, I think that might be a little bit too much for the human system to handle. But that's what we're coming to eventually. And another thing I want to talk about the Biden administration, that is the rebuilding of our infrastructure. our highways, our airports, our rail lines. And it seems like a huge price tag, but it has to be to get the country moving again. Now, many of our Republican friends are objecting to it. And what are they objecting to? Well, one senator that was on TV last night said he was objecting to some of this money going into union hands. And I think that says it all right there. The rejection that the Republicans have is that none of this money is going to go to their buddies in these big corporations. Of course, there'll be money there to be paid to do the construction work, yeah. But it's not going to be a direct handout to them. Well, the middle class gets nothing. And in fact, the wealthier class, of course, are going to see an increase in their taxes to help pay for this. And that's where the Republicans are stumbling. They don't want to see their buddies have to pay their fair share. They'd rather see the middle class, the lower class get hit again. Well, this reconstruction project, it's going to take a lot of negotiating. And I think there are some Republican senators that are going to get some feedback from their constituents that these changes are necessary, and get on the stick and start supporting them. I know the president has scheduled a meeting with a number of leading Republican senators this week at the White House, and they will discuss to see if there's any room for negotiation. As a senator, Joe Biden was a great negotiator. You know, Joe Biden and John McCain, the late John McCain, were very good friends. One was a Republican, the other a Democrat. On the Senate floor, they used to debate and argue and battle like there's no tomorrow. But when the debate was over, they came back together again. Because they both were working for the good of the country, and they knew that. They both had the best interest of the country at heart. And they were working toward the same goal. And they understood that. And I think that helped cement their friendship. And Mr. Biden, I think he still has maybe some Republican friends in the Senate. And they'll sit down, they will handle out a compromise, and he'll get the job done. This is the biggest reclamation project in getting the country going again since Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal back in the 1930s. And he had trouble pushing it through Congress. Republicans fought him every inch of the way. Even when he carried 46 of 48 states in 1936, there was still Republican opposition to some of his ideas and his plans for getting the country moving again. So we're in a time of transition. I'm glad to see the administration taking the lead, leading the country. Unlike his predecessor, who, well, if he was a leader, he was a leader in the wrong direction. And what he did was not doing the country any good. And his legacy is going to be January 6, 2021. When he egged on a mob and sent them up to storm the Capitol to try to stop the constitutional process of certifying the election of his successor. His idea was to hold on to power. The American people, fortunately, the majority of American people had the good sense to realize that we had made a mistake, and we corrected that mistake this past November. So with that, I wish you all all you mothers and grandmothers and so forth, a very, very happy Mother's Day. God love you, and we'll see you all next week.